I'd like to give you a short introduction to data visualization. We're going to go much more in depth than this, but to start things off, um, and the first thing that I'll say is sometimes when I tell people, especially people outside of the data world, that I do data visualization, they sort of think that I'm saying, like the power of visualization, using your brain to self actualize. That's not what I mean when I say data visualization. I mean, things that are visual that involve data. We're going to be talking about things that I would consider to be data visualization. There's other terms for these things: information visualization, infographics, statistical graphics. Nathan Yao, who we're reading from, has a whole list of other terms that are similar, and some of the authors that we're going to read make distinctions between these different terms, but I think, as with many things we talk about, there's overlap between the terms. So I just wanted to show you a few of my favorite data visualizations, or the ones that have impacted me the most. We'll probably talk about these in more depth as we go through. But one project that I really love is by Georgia Lupi and Stephanie Posavec. It's called Dear Data. And so these two information designers decided that they wanted to get to know one another better. And the way that they got to know one another is they did this postcard project over the course of a year. So each week they would pick a topic that they were going to focus on, and they would collect data about it, and then they would visualize that data by hand on a postcard and then mail it. I think one of them was in New York and one of them was in the UK, so it was an international post. And they came up with such creative ways to visualize data by hand that I think would be hard to imagine if you were sort of limited by the computer. So their forms were really different. Another project that I really love, it's sort of deceptively simple or deceptively complicated. It's called the Racial Dot Map, and I think I'm going to try to go to it so that we could look at it together. So this is based on the 2010 census data. I'm really excited for us to get 2020 census data so that we could do updated versions of this. But essentially what the authors of this visualization did is they took data which was given to them at the census block level, and they made one dot for each person in the United States. And they colored the dots by racial categories. So let's try and zoom in on the Twin Cities. And let's get even closer. Sometimes it's good to add the map labels so that we can kind of tell what's going on. Let's see if we can zoom in on, I think if we're zooming in here, I can see Marshall Avenue. And I might be able to see where the University of St. Thomas's campus is. I can certainly see some of the racial demographic patterns that are happening in the Twin Cities. And these have historic reasons related to redlining, where people of certain races were only allowed to live in certain places. And even though most of those laws have now been removed or updated, you can still see that certain groups live in certain areas. So kind of up in the corner, I would describe this area as kind of Frogtown. That's a heavily Asian area. We can see areas with a lot of Hispanic people. We can see areas with a lot of Black people. And I think that to some degree, this just kind of confirms things that we might know about the Twin Cities from living here. But I think there's really interesting stuff that kind of pops out the more that you look at this map. So if you remove the map labels, the only thing that you see here are the dots that represent people. But of course you can still see the natural features that are underlying. So things like lakes and the river. I think highways are kind of blocked out here so you can see major roads. So it just gives you just a really interesting picture of the United States. So I love this visualization. I think it's really beautiful, and I think that it also has a lot of depth that you can explore. Another visualization that I really love, this is from Periscopic, which is an information visualization firm. I wish they would update this. The most recent data they have is from 2013. And again, I'm going to go to the website so we can hopefully look at it together. So this one has sound. I don't think that you're going to be able to hear the sound here. but each arc is one person who was killed by a gun in 2013. And the arcs are how long the authors of this visualization thought that that person would have been able to live if they were not killed by a gun. And this is accidental gun deaths as well as intentional gun deaths. And so they were using statistics about average lifespan, and they created this new type of visualization. I hadn't seen this kind of visualization before this particular piece, and now there are many variations on it. And you can click on a particular arc, and it has a name. So this person was 44 years old, killed Thursday, August 22nd in 2013. He might have lived to be 68, and then they're just using the sort of statistical tables. He might have died of a malignant tumor, and so they're adding up. I'm not sure you can see it. I think it's behind my video. They're adding up the number of stolen years by gun violence. So they're saying, that that person had a number of years stolen from them. So I just thought that this was very affecting. It makes these individual lines, and it also has this sort of overall trend.